Welcome back. So glad to have you here on the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. Uh, for those of you that were listening into our last episode on the stack, I am going to jump into one of the foundational understandings of living the warrior's way, a way that I live my life and use that tool today. Uh, so it's important to have frameworks, I find, and I mentioned that in the last podcast. Uh, so that we have an understanding and think about a framework. I'll just introduce this idea. A framework is a way of structuring your life, right? Think of a building, right? It's a way that we construct understanding, or you're going to build a building, right? But you've got to have a foundation and you've got to frame that up and then attach everything else that you have in your life there. Well, when we do that, it makes us our mind easier, helps us process information and go through life a little bit more effectively, hopefully more intelligent, right? You're the more intelligent human leader. So why I bring this up to you today is I'm going to give you another framework and understanding to tear off of. Now, for those of you that missed the last episode about the stack and how we reframe our stories, our narratives, I invite you to go back to that last episode, take a listen. You don't have to listen to that episode to get a lot out of this one. It'll just help enhance your understanding. And I've talked about this in previous episodes as well about how do we change our story, shift our story. It's foundational, very impactful in how you know yourself well and leading yourself well, right? We're all about knowing yourself to lead yourself and your teams. And so we want to have a foundational understanding here. And I mentioned this in the last episode, but I realized I didn't go very deep in there. I talked briefly about couple elements. I talked about the code and the core. These are words, these are terms we use in Wake Up Warrior. As I mentioned before, I'm certified as a trainer with Wake Up Warrior. And so it's one of the tools, it's a system, it's a way of living and being that I incorporate, number one, into my own life, number two, bringing in and helping others. Because this is vital in my experience to living a life of purpose, living a life of design versus default. It's living with significance. It's not being, in the words of Zig Ziglar, a wandering generality. It helps me because if left to my own devices, I can kind of be all over the place. So this has helped me put a framework in one that I followed with tens of thousands of other men and women now that have applied this to their lives and created a strong, strong foundation of understanding of, again, who you are. And you might have remembered in a previous episode, I talked about knowing yourself to lead yourself in your tendencies. Well, this is foundational to that. So what is it? What is the code, if you will? Well, I mentioned it last time, but it's a simple statement, but there's components to this. The statement is stop lying and start living. We want to stop lying and start living truly in the fact that we all have lies of omission and lies of commission. I'd say most people start with lies of commission, and we always have lies of omission. Those ones are harder to identify at times. Lies of commission you can identify if somebody has lied and you literally, like, did you eat that cookie? No, I did not eat that cookie. And you see the crumbs and you see that they ate the cookie and you're like, okay, I know you ate the cookie, right? Versus, there's questions of like, how did you have a cookie today? Well, maybe you did have a cookie, but maybe you had 5 cookies, right? Well, I only had, yes, I had a cookie, but you're like, there's lies of omission. The reality is we're trying to move past all the lies. We're trying, this is our goal, right? Because we want to live authentic in a true life. If you don't live this way, how do you expect other people to live this way and show up in your life? Whether it be your coworkers, your collaborators, your leadership team, it starts with you. And everything comes back to you, in my opinion. So as we take ownership of the things of our life, we then can also affect them. Starting then about a circle of influence, if you remember that too. That's talked about in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We talked about it in Know Yourself to Lead Yourself, in tendencies. So this way of living, this path of authentic living, 'cause that's what we really want to get you into. Strip away the lies, strip away the guilt, strip away the shame. The reality is we want you to live free. We want you to live without the burden of this that we place on ourselves. And we put all these undue constraints on ourselves, trying to live for other people instead of living for who we truly are. And again, I come from a frame of a belief in God, a higher power, that there's something more for us, much, much more for us. And although we are finite beings, we have the ability to make amazing impact influences beyond our life here. I just believe that we have that opportunity. Whether we all take it, that's another story. But with all of these things going on around us, all these things swirling around, right? There is this way of living by a code. And if you guys are watching the video on this, I have a book series behind me that's a foundational one. And again, I can't solve all the problems here on the podcast, but I can certainly point you to the tools and the resources. I can get you signed up even for a free version of the Warrior app, or if you're ready to jump in there, get you signed up and you guys can check it out. But my main point of doing this whole podcast is not to sell you something, sell you a program. It's to provide you information and understanding, not just information, right? We want to become intelligent. People can take knowledge, they can take a lot of information, and there's tons of that in the world right now. My hope and my aim is to that empower you to apply that to your life, right? And to strip away the excuses, strip away the lies, strip away anything that is separating you from living a true, authentic life, right? And that's what I talked about in the Stack Tool last episode, how to get through some of those stories and narratives and emotions. But there's a basic framework here that I want to go through in how we can live our life. So if we have this foundation understanding, if we're going to stop lying, right? And we're going to tell the truth. We're going to stop lying and we're going to tell the truth in every aspect of our lives. Now, you might have heard some people say, I'm speaking, quote unquote, my truth, right? You might have heard that today. That for me is a trigger at times, because I feel like truth, and not feel, I believe, I truly believe this isn't just a feeling, but I believe truth doesn't change based on what I see or over time. Truth is truth from the beginning of time to the end of time. Truth is irregardless of me. Okay. But the facts do change. The facts are a point in time. And so the facts of your life are really what we're trying to get at. So I want to distinguish the fact of truth and facts. Now they could be one and the same, but oftentimes they're not. So for you, if saying I'm speaking my truth, just in your mind, I'm going to encourage you to think about I'm speaking the facts of my life. Again, this is just something I personally make a I make a distinction on the personal facts versus truth. Truth to me, again, is not personal. That is nothing, has nothing to do with me. It is just the way that it is. There's gravity in the world, right? That's truth. It isn't because it is. I can't affect that myself, but I can affect the facts of my life. Okay. So here's the thing. We've all heard about alternative facts, these whatever these, the crazy things in the world, right? Fact finders, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, well, the reality is the facts are, what are your facts? What's your reality? Okay. I don't need to worry about anybody else's. I want to make sure that you understand your foundation, who you are, where you're at, taking accountability for this. To me, this is so powerful, being and living in the warrior's way, because I'll tell you, when I meet with somebody that lives by this code, I can get right down to the nitty-gritty of life very quickly. And then you can actually start to make some very impactful changes and pivots and transformations. Truly, that's what we're shooting for, is transformation, not just change that I've talked about in previous episodes. Here's the deal though. We want to get clear as to your facts. What are the real facts of your life? And this is a foundational starting point. When we get clear of the facts of our lives, right? then we can actually start to make pivots. We can make adjustments. We can really identify what's working, what's not working. And so we start to pull back the layers. And again, part of this I talked about in the last episode is the stack tool, how we are able to do that, how we're able to lead ourselves. And when we do this and we talk factually and we address the reality of our lives, we can take ownership for it. And then we can start to make positive changes. We can actually be proactive and really get to where we want to go. We really get clear on what is most important to us. Now, that's just part one of four that we're looking at here when I talk about the code. So real facts is one of them. The next part, what we talked about last time, I coming back to it again, is being raw and dealing with our feelings. Now, the stack is one of those things. If you guys remember the framework of the stack, as we said, stop, submit, struggle, and strike. When we stop and submit ourselves and we identify all of the emotions that are going on, right? We're going to struggle with that. And oftentimes, I don't know about you, but I have limited my emotions at times. And I've talked about this in a previous episode about that narrow band, right? Of emotions. The narrow band meaning we don't want to go too far to the left. We don't go too far to the right. I don't want to get too low. We don't want to go too high. Well, that's limiting. What I want to do is help you open up a container in reality and embrace all of your feelings. This is about living the code, right? We may minimize talking about elements of our lives because it brings up certain emotions, right? Now that is your choice, but I'm telling you, you're being self-limiting. I want to help you move to embracing those feelings. And again, this is just about our humanity. This is about our human experience. I was just talking to my son this morning. There's a book in the Bible, in the Old Testament, called Lamentations, to lament. I don't know if you've ever heard that word, but it's a powerful word. And in that book of the Bible, God does not respond to his people in that whole book. They literally are crying out to God. They're going through emotions. There's terrible things going on, and they allow themselves to experience the rawness, all the emotions that are swirling around. Because if we don't process those things, we're setting ourselves up again for self-limiting life. We're living a lie because we're not allowing ourselves to experience those feelings. We're like, oh, I can't go there. I can't express that. The idea it, in the stack tool is of creating a safe place for you to access all those emotions: depression, anger, rage, whatever those are for you. There is no right or wrong. They are just what they are. They're being raw. And the more raw that you can be and getting it out of you, it's only going to help propel you and give you fire, if you will, to push through to the next point here in the code. Because to be raw and to just be raw, if anyone had literally a raw wound, right? That's painful. To stay in the rawness, to just be out there is not where we want to keep you, but we want to get clear. We want to rip off the band-aid. We want to get there so you get true healing. For any of you, those have had any kind of medical challenges where you didn't get the right healing, like it was kind of partial, it wasn't all done right, it really messes you up. Heard some people have some really terrible experiences there because they didn't have the right healing. They needed to go through a little bit, maybe a little more pain, then things need to be adjusted so they could get true healing. We want to have you truly healed, again, to be that most intelligent human leader that shows up with emotional intelligence, resolve, clarity, commitment, certainty. We want all those things. And that's what I seek to bring here as a taste. And then if you feel like, hey, this is something that you need more of and you want to jump into that, come in, talk with me, and we can see about getting you into the Suit Yourself program. All that to be said is we go from this framework of being real and looking at our facts, looking and being raw with our feelings, leveraging those so that they can move us to the next portion of the code, which is relevancy. It's focus. It's taking all that, you know, there's a lot there, right? There could be a lot of things in our life, a lot of facts, a lot of things swirling around, a lot of emotions all tied to these things, and it's taking it down, taking it down, taking it down, and think of it like a laser beam. A laser beam is what makes a laser beam so powerful is that it's focused energy, right? It is literally a beam of light of energy, and it's pointing down. Now, if you've ever seen a dispersed light, that's not a laser, right? And you pick any kind of light bulb, right? That disperses the light. It does cover an area, but it's a smaller area, generally speaking. A laser can go quite far because it's so focused, and that's what we really want to do. Is we want to help you not just affect your immediate world. We start there, but like where are you shooting for? Where are you trying to go and create like a beam of light to get there? So the relevant focus here is this groundwork we're laying and this ability to focus our attention on what matters most. It clears out some of those distractions. It clears out uh, all the things that are kind of going on. Think of it like, again, like a magnifying glass, if you will, if that works for you. And so this is something I've applied. It was really helpful for me personally because I get distracted. You guys know that I'm a connector voice. I'm kind of all over. I got ADHD, a bit. And so just naturally I'm that way. So it helps me focus and puts a way of owning my life and looking at what's going on in my life and accounting for that. So when I look at the facts of my life, and they're just the facts and the feelings associated with them, looking at the facts, for example, of my body, if I look at, okay, I want to lift more weight, I want to have less body fat. These are facts. They're not my body weight percentage or how much weight I can lift. It's not there's no guilt or shame in there in the sense of I just recognize what it is. Now there are emotions of like I don't like weighing additional pounds that I have or the body weight percentage is not where I want it to be. So then what I'm saying earlier about being raw and real is just like lean into the feelings like, well, okay, what would that look like? Well, I don't like it. I'm frustrated with it. I'm a little, to be honest with you, even a little disgusted with myself that I've allowed myself to maybe eat or drink foods that are not as healthy in the best interest in mind. Again, if I lean into those emotions, that's going to help me get at my desired outcome. And so we here are focusing, we're zeroing in on it. And once we actually get clear on the focus and magnifying it and moving in the direction, right? We're moving to a target. If you don't have a target, like, right, if you're just shooting wildly, what you're going to hit is you might get lucky, but most likely you're not going to hit anything of meaning. Now if you have a target in mind and you're focused and you're taking all that energy, right, you're literally like, here's the facts of my life, I've addressed all my feelings associated with it, and this is where I want to go. You're definitely more likely to hit your target. And this is something we do on our production side when I work with individuals, is how we work on our weekly, monthly mission and overall goals in all the different domains of our life. Ultimately gets us our results that we desire, right? The results of our focus are our fruits. Results, fruit. Uh, this is what we ultimately desire, or we want to get you what you desire. What do you really want? We can take account for the fruit of our lives. At the end of the day, our life reflects this, our actions and what comes of them. The consequences, really. These are consequences of our actions. Now we can reap fruit and a great legacy, or we may come up short and like, man, I really have a lot to account for all of this because I never really took focus into account. I never took all the feelings and never got clear on my facts. You can reverse engineer this as well. It's cyclical. This is the power of the code. It's cyclical. The fruits of our actions, come, and then there's new facts, new foundation coming there. This is a way of living. And that's why I say earlier, as you incorporate this way of living, it just propels you that much further. It's how we not just navigate our way through life, but live authentically, live as the most intelligent human leader, right? That's what I want for you. I want you to be able to get to the reality of your life, owning the lies, owning the lies of omission, commission, and getting to the reality of where you're at, right? So we got to peel that back. We got to understand that there's guilt, there's shame, there's emotions swirling around that you're like, I just, I can't quite go there. Uh, let's talk. Let's figure out, I'll give you my take and my resources. Let's see if this is going to help you or not. Again, I'm going to keep bringing value in my goal to bring you victory here in the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. I can't solve all of your problems. I can't get everything covered, but what I can do is start to give you breadcrumbs and point you in the right direction. That's my aim here. And if you find value in this and you're like, man, David, you're hitting this. I really feel like I need help peeling back the layers a little bit more and getting clear truly on the facts of my life. Because reality, there's other people that look at your life and they have a different opinion and they see things in their own way and their own narratives, right? But we want to get sure that you have clear your narratives, your story, right? You living genuinely and authentically. So when we get clear on your overall facts, and this is even part of the whole program that I do through Steward Yourself. It's first starting with your mindset and understanding of the facts of your life so that we can get you in the direction of where you want to be dominating candidly, not just in your business. That's going to cascade into your personal life. It's going to go into your body and even in your spiritual, emotional life. So when we address the real facts of your life, we go into the feelings without guilt and shame. And I don't have, I'm not here, I'm not here to judge you. It's about getting just real with where you're at. Because again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, when you recognize you're the problem, you're also the solution. That's a beautiful thing, in my opinion. It hurts at first when you realize, man, I am the problem here, but I can get real with where I'm at. I can get real with the facts. I can be real with the feelings and just be raw with them, right? And then I can look and have a relevant focus. Like, where do I want to go with all this? What do I really, really want? What's important to me? What's motivating me to do the work required to get to the other side, to get to that now next mountain peak? And ultimately, you reap the fruit. You reap the consequences of that, the results of your life. You take ownership of it all. And that's what it means by living by the code, to live this authentic life over and over and over again. And I found power in community and connection with others. I don't believe you're meant to go alone and do this by yourself, because I have not found that to be successful personally. Yeah, it's really finding this community and living this way with others. Because as you live this way, it's kind of iron. You've heard of this. Maybe you've heard of this uh, saying in the Bible, "Iron sharpening iron." Or there's this place of coming in community where we then speak truth in love with each other. We help each other, and we ask the tough questions. Are you being real? Are you dealing with the true facts of your life? Are you? Are you being honest with your feelings and emotions that are swirling around? What do you really want? What are you focusing on? And are you owning the results that you have currently in your life? That's living by the code, living authentically. And when you use the stack tool that I talked about in the last episode, it's just going to multiply that. It's just going to be intensify that. That's about what I want to help you do as well, is multiply, not just be additive, multiply your effect and increase your effectiveness, your impact, your influence beyond yourself, radiating out from yourself. So I hope you guys got some value out of this today, as I've been just going back to the code. We'll talk a little bit more about the core coming up here as well. So you can come back for that and learn more about how we can integrate the code, the core, the stack together as a way of living and understanding. And again, if you want to learn more about this, by all means, please reach out to me. I would love to talk more with you about it. But if just this framework tonight, as you listen to it, being real about the facts of your life, being raw about your feelings, looking at your relevant focus, and owning the results of your life. This is the fruit, if you will. This will be so impactful for you. Use this framework as a foundation for your life. I really pray and hope that is going to lead you. And then you have an advocate, a coach, a consultant here in myself with Steward Your Business along the way. And I would love to work with you. This is my passion. This is why I come on here every week and why I share what I do for all the different platforms. Please follow along, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I even have a TikTok account. I don't promote very much, but you guys can find me on there. David Carr, Steward Your Business. Love to have you guys follow along, interact with me, give me your feedback, leave comments. If you don't agree, that's fine too. I appreciate that. I want to be able to come together to collide because ultimately, if we can collide in a way and have crucial conversations together, we're going to be better off because then we can talk about the facts of our lives and the reality of what's going on. And together, we will go farther. It's not meant to go alone. You have a place, there's a community. This is a place that I want to call home for many, many of you that are listening and know that you are a steward. You are welcome to be a part of Steward Your Business and Steward Yourself. And I invite you to be a part of the community. However that looks for you. If it's simply just putting a comment in and following along, wonderful. If it's something further and you want to go deeper, reach out to me. I'm so grateful that you're here as part of the Intelligent Human Leadership podcast. I'll continue to bring you great content and resources, but the ultimate goal is to transform your life from who you are today to becoming something unrecognizable in such an amazing, positive way of who God really wants you to be. And step by step, day by day, we'll get there. So thank you guys for listening. Until next time, take good care, and we'll talk to you soon.